Hi there, and welcome to the Beach House Garden Diary. My name is Kaida, and I live in northern Estonia, sharing a beach house with my cat Kitu. On this channel, I document my endeavors in my garden, mainly doing maintenance chores, like trimming wide areas of land, mulching everything in my garden, painting the fence, or cutting the firewood, but also building new stuff, like creating a new focal point around my rose bed or repairing a damaged fence, and sometimes stumbling into a completely unplanned project. The goal here is to live in harmony with nature, and for this year, my goal is to build structure. So I hope you will join me in this journey. But currently, it is the middle of January, so it means a middle of winter, and that means first, before we can jump into all the new exciting projects, we need to dig ourselves out of the snow. Okay, I need to clean up this road here. I'm gonna break my leg when I don't do that, and it freezes. In this video, I take you through the winter road conditions, starting with my driveway, but also introducing all the different ices that you can find on the road. This here is about 20 to 30 centimeters of snow, and it came down overnight, so we better start shoveling. Otherwise, I won't be able to drive to work on Monday. We used to have such a snowfall every once in a while, and the snow that fell down lasted for a couple of months because it was freezing cold outside and it just didn't melt. It was then time to get the car out of the way. And the first thing I'm going to do is exactly remove this mountain from the back of the car. You could almost hear how wet the snow is in here. So it may as well melt in a couple of days. Okay, the mountain has been removed. But who could take that risk? Because if that happens to freeze instead, this car will be taken hostage here until the late spring. Don't you think this car looks like a little bit like this Pixar McQueen or Lightning McQueen car? But this eyes. I think I didn't tell you yet, but my plan here was to drive this car. Okay, let's do it. Out of my parking lot and close to the gates, so that I could be actually able to drive to work on Monday. And my strategy for that was to gain some speed, and no, not in a forward direction, but in the backwards direction, and make myself some tracks where the snow is compressed and the tires would actually hold. All right, getting myself into the correct position here, and we are ready to go. Well, at first, not too far, because I was just driving back and forth for a while. This yellow light in my car was blinking like there's no tomorrow, suggesting that there's no good grip actually. But I was taking this really slow, making sure that I had the full control over the car. Here's the gate. But the whole activity took about 10 minutes anyway. And look at these birds. They seem to be completely confused by this rally activity. I noticed them flying to the arborvitae hedge, and hence I'm walking very slowly in order to capture them. But you can see them flying off from here. And here's the other camera capturing them flying out the hedge. This is why I love living in the nature, and would never swap this location to a place in a city, even if the roads are clean and the shoveling is done by somebody else in the city. And here are the tracks. I would say these are not the straightest that I've seen. But hey, I don't have a SUV. I just have a regular car. And I was actually very happy that I was able to make it out from there. But there was no time to wait. You could literally see how the daylight fades out. So I'm doing my best to shovel as quickly as I can. And although I don't want to advertise anything in here, I think that wearing snowboarding clothes like good gloves, jacket and pants would save you from the hassle of worrying about getting wet, because snow is no issue when you wear the right clothes. Well, at that point in time, I was already very happy with my decision of getting the car out and not hoping to finish cleaning the driveway all by myself. Because shoveling and cleaning the whole driveway, which is 143 square meters, I don't think that would work. At least, not everything at once. I was sleeping like a baby that night. However, in the middle of night, around 4 o'clock, I was woken up by a very weird glow, which I wasn't able to identify, until I figured this is the full moon creeping between the clouds, lighting up the surface of the sea and as well the clouds. That was a very magical sight, especially combined with a heavy storm still roaring outside, covering all the downwind windows with quite a noticeable layer of snow. But after the storm, always comes the sun. And very often also a blocked front door. I don't have words to describe how pretty this looks. Not really sure whose tracks these are though, because Kittu definitely was inside. Furthermore, all my efforts from yesterday's shoveling were completely gone. Everything was filled with a fresh layer of snow, and everything was so bright that it even seemed that there is a glow on the shadows. And although the sky was completely blue and clear, the wind was still playing around with the last pieces of fallen snow. In addition to that, we also had these super cute snow waves everywhere, which the wind uses as a kicker. Look at that one here. How perfect is this? And I absolutely love the wind gusts on top of it. And I must be blessed, because later in the day, when I was getting myself ready to get outside and start the shoveling activity from the scratch, my neighbors came to help me with the tractor. That worked like a charm, and even though there was a little bit of wiggling, it took just 15 minutes to clean it all up. Thank you so much for your help, neighbors. I am beyond thankful, as I would have spent the whole day shoveling this one up again. But now I have such a fancy path from my car to the front door. Incredible. I then decided to dust some snow off from the plants, and that was pretty much the last activity for the day. The last pine tree was completely flattened out, and although I knew that already beforehand, I forgot to build a tent for that when it was the time to cover the plants. So I really need to find a moment to do that. That little pine here is completely flattened out, and it is if there should be another day in this winter where I can perhaps install some cover also for this plant, I'm definitely going to do that. And after this beautiful day, I was happy to see the colors in the sky again. This is the indication of the coming spring. And this is the full moon in the pink sky. And here I'm taking you to the very far end of my beach. I'm trying not to speak because the sound of the wind is just overwhelmingly loud, and there's no point for me to scream over that. But I wanted to show you some structures in the beach that I absolutely adore, because this year in my garden is about building structures. Oh wait, let me show you one more thing. We have a tiny beach kiosk here where you can buy ice cream in summer, and how they have decorated this beach kiosk is like this. It's so adorable. We have some beach dunes here in Estonia as well. This one here, for example. It's a decent 5 meters, I would say, and obviously not as high as the beach dunes in Denmark, for example, which are my absolute favorites. But they are something, and they are just close to my home, so I love them anyway. Oh, look at that winter sun in the background. So I'm gonna jump. And that is the absolutely furthest end of my beach. And the walking path only continues in the biggest Estonian national park and in the forest. Estonia has a long history with people living on this land for more than 10,000 years. And this here is a historical landmark from 1,000 years before Christ. It is an old cemetery, and today it's covered with centuries-old oak trees, which are also under protection by now. As said, the whole walking path is in the forest, and although it looks absolutely messy, it's forbidden to clean it up as it is part of the national park. Only when the tree falls directly to the road, you can cut it and lift it aside. But with this, I want to introduce you some of the road conditions in Estonia, which are very common for the winter time. This here is 2 to 3 centimeters of ice, and almost with the quality of the skating board. We call it the bald ice, or kilasjää in Estonian. It's super slippery, and you better don't even think of gaining any speed on such roads, unless you are speed skating or something. So I wear hiking shoes, which should have a pretty good grip. But let me demonstrate you something. Let's go! That's the slide and glide. Super fun thing to do if you are not in a car. So basically, that shows that this thing does not have any grip, because this ice is smooth. This can be so much fun too. The next road condition in our winter list is the black ice, which is, by the way, worse than the bald ice. And this is how the black ice looks. It looks like water on the stone surface, but in reality it's also
completely icy, very slippery, and when you don't take that into account, you can end up in a very interesting but not very favorable situation. So always be rather moderate when you drive in Estonia in the winter time, especially when it is around zero and you think that it's watery. It may be actually icy. There's just too much traffic at the moment to show you the slide and glide exercise in here. But it's so slippery.
And the last condition, which people very often take very lightly, is the thin white ice. You can almost feel the stone surface through the ice. But just as I was recording this, there was a tiny accident on the road to my home. Don't worry, nobody got hurt, but it just showcases again how dangerous these conditions can be. I'm curious to hear, how are the winter road conditions in your home country? Are they also icy and a little bit dangerous? Make sure to leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you back in here for the next gardening adventures.